I was like somewhere in the middle of my high school career, and it was over the winter break, and well, a couple things happened. One, I had my tonsils out, and it was like a disastrous healing process. But two, this girl who we were all friends with that none of us liked, got really upset because she felt like nobody liked her, and she came crying to me and some of my girlfriends, and she's like, "Oh my God, no one likes me. We need to have a girls' night." And we were like, "Oh, okay," because we're like, I guess, nice bullies probably. So, we decided to have this girls' night over this winter break. It's not very promising for a couple reasons. One, we don't like this girl. Two, I'm just like a disaster, and in fact, this girls' night is the first time I step out of my house since having my tonsils out, and I'm probably like still drugged up on Percocet and, just can't even talk. And three, it's not much going for us because we live in the suburbs, and, there's just not much to do there. So, I don't go into this night with a lot of expectations. So we go to my friend Kelly's house, and we're all hanging out, and, well, let me preface this by saying, if people think that I'm creative or interesting, it's probably because I stole that idea from someone else. It wasn't that long ago that my older sister told me a story. She's driving down the street in the suburbs with her friend, and they see a traffic cone. Oddly enough, this is going to turn to traffic cones. They see a traffic cone, and they pick it up, and then they drive away with it, and they throw it at this woman, and the woman's shaking her fist as she drives away, and she's like, "I have your license plate number!" Whatever. Nothing ever came of it. But my sister told me that story, and I was like, "Damn, Marla, you're such a badass." Because in the suburbs, we have completely skewed ideas of reality, and for some reason, dragging a traffic cone 30 feet is just total badassery. So, anyway, we're hanging out this night at my friend's house, and we're like, "Well, what are we gonna do?" And I'm like, "Guys, I just came up with the coolest idea. Let's go steal traffic cones." So, my friend's mom drives an SUV, which is convenient for stealing many traffic cones. So we get in the SUV and we start driving around, whatever. We find a construction area, we steal maybe 5 traffic cones. We're like, "Well, what are we going to do with these?" "Well, we better store them somewhere." Obviously, some other kid's front yard. Our friend Brian, he's not with us this night because obviously it's girls' night and he's a boy, gross. So we start dumping these traffic cones in Brian's front yard. It's 1 in the morning, so they're not going to notice. We make several trips. We end up with 15 traffic cones, 2 traffic barrels, one of those barricades with the reflector on it, and to top it all off, a shopping cart, because that made sense. So yeah, this is all in Brian's front yard, and while we were getting the shopping cart, we might as well go into the grocery store and, the 24-hour grocery store, get tons of Post-it notes and, whatever. We go to his house and we're like, "Well, what are we going to do with this?" Scatter everything in his yard, rip up all his Christmas decorations, and throw them in the shopping cart. The car is parked outside. We Post-it noted the entire car. And then, because we wanted to be nice about it, we, drew chalk all over his driveway. We were like, "Brian, it was us, blah, blah, blah." And looking back on it, this isn't even that fun. I don't know where we were going with this. And the whole night, the entire time, I was the one that was running around getting everything. Everyone was too scared to actually grab the shopping cart. I'm like, "Come on, guys," Meanwhile, it's probably more like, "Oh, come on, guys." Because I was sick. And, maybe I was a friend that nobody liked because I'm dragging people along doing this stuff with me, but, whatever. It's all fine in retrospect. We all laugh. Anyway, we go to bed that night, sleep over. And it snowed overnight, which is fine, but it washed away everything that we left in the driveway. Everything that said, "Hey, we were there, it was us, hey." So, next morning's the morning like any other morning, and I go home, and next thing you know, you're getting calls from the parents. Well, because Brian's family woke up in the morning, and they see all this stuff in their yard. They see the Post-it notes on their car, and, the harmless traffic cones, and they're like, "Oh my God." And his mom's freaking out. She's like, "Brian, honey, I'm so scared. What are we going to do? What is going on?" Because not only did we have construed conceptions of reality, but parents did too, because they're growing up in the suburbs and think that a couple of cones in their yard means that they're going to die in a week. They're still alive. But, they're freaking out, and they eventually find out that we're the ones that did it. My parents are really pissed at me. Whatever. This is just stupid, harmless story. Well, it all just came back to me the other day. I was just thinking about this story the other day because, I grew up in the suburbs of Pittsburgh, and I just moved out here. And my friend's family invited me over for dinner out in Phoenixville. And so I'm sitting down with his family, and he has a little sister. She's like 16 years old, and she's telling a story about how she was so bored the other day. I'm like, oh, what did you do for fun in here in the suburbs of Philadelphia? And she's like, well, we got this really crazy idea. I'm like, oh, what was it? She starts telling me that she had nothing to do, so she went out with her friends, and they bought bags of goldfish. And I don't mean the snack that smells back. I mean bags of goldfish. And they did nothing but run around and just leave them on people's porches and on their cars and stuff like that. I'm like, God, what are you doing? Why didn't I think of that? That was amazing. And basically, the giant lesson I learned from just hearing the 16-year-old tell me this story about buying these goldfish and putting them on people's cars and their porches is that no matter where you go, no matter, at least in America anyways, dear God, but no matter where you go, no matter who you speak to, as long as you're in the suburbs, there's something that ties us together, and that's that we grew up in the suburbs, and that there's nothing to do, and we just do the weirdest stuff.